For a moment, close your eyes and picture a world in which the Cold War exploded into a full-scale World War III, instead of just fizzling out into tense standoffs and spy games. Your familiar cities would be turned to ashes. Whole nations might disappear. Furthermore, the air we breathe may be permanently contaminated. This is a horrific parallel world that nearly occurred, not science fiction. We'll look at 8 terrifying possibilities today that may have occurred if the Cold War had turned into a worldwide disaster. Get ready, because what you're going to hear could give you a completely different, terrifying perspective on history. Number 8. Nuclear Armageddon, humanity on the edge. What if millions could be instantly erased with a button push? The ultimate, unrivaled destructive force of nuclear weapons was at the center of the Cold War, not merely politics or ideology. Both the US and the USSR possessed enough nuclear weapons by the 1980s to destroy the world multiple times over. Cities like Tokyo, Moscow, London, and New York might have vanished entirely in a matter of minutes. Imagine now a heated altercation in Berlin. A little border conflict intensifies. A terrified general misinterprets intelligence. All of a sudden, a nuclear missile is fired. Tens of millions are lost in an hour. However, the idea of mutually assured destruction would go from theory to reality. Until the planet is reduced to a smoking wasteland, both superpowers would continue to launch attacks, each of which would set off another. Not only would humanity be in danger, global agriculture would collapse as a result of the explosions, which would cause nuclear winter. Massive clouds of ash and soot would block sunlight. Famine spreads, crops fail, and the fragile ecosystems that support life descend into anarchy. Small pockets of humanity might endure, but the world we know would vanish. This was not hypothetical. The Cold War was a ticking time bomb, and a single miscalculation could have wiped out civilization as we know it. Number 7. The domino effect. A global war ignites. One spark, and suddenly the whole world is on fire. Once the superpowers clashed, the rest of the world wouldn't stay neutral. NATO countries like the UK, France, and West Germany would be immediately pulled into the conflict. On the other side, Warsaw Pact nations, including Poland, Czechoslovakia, and East Germany, would mobilize for total war. But the chaos wouldn't stop in Europe. Asia would become another front. South Korea and Japan could face invasions. Even neutral countries might be drawn in due to alliances, resources, or strategic positions. Suddenly, a regional conflict becomes a worldwide nightmare. Economically, politically, and socially, nations far from the front lines would still suffer. Refugee crises would overwhelm neighboring countries. Global trade collapses. Economies crumble. Fear spreads like wildfire. The domino effect of war ensures that almost every nation is impacted, either directly or indirectly, turning the Earth into a planet-wide battlefield. This was a war that didn't just threaten soldiers, it threatened the entire fabric of civilization. Number 6. Spy games turn deadly. One wrong move and the world could be gone. Espionage defined the Cold War. CIA operatives, KGB agents, and other intelligence networks worked in the shadows, gathering information and sabotaging enemy operations. But in a World War III scenario, spies wouldn't just be sneaking around, they'd be high-value targets. Imagine a spy operation goes wrong. A satellite misreads signals. A secret communication is intercepted. A defector betrays information. A misstep could trigger retaliation, escalating into nuclear strikes. Every intelligence mission becomes a life or death gamble, where one mistake could cost millions of lives. Number 5. Global economic collapse. What if money became meaningless overnight? The superpowers weren't just militaries, they were economic engines. But war destroys economies faster than bombs destroy cities. A Cold War turned hot would collapse global trade routes, disrupt supply chains, and destroy key industrial hubs. Picture this: Detroit, the center of the automotive industry, is obliterated. Moscow, the heart of Soviet manufacturing, is in ruins. Stock markets plummet. Food shortages cause panic. Even countries not directly involved face economic collapse as currencies lose value and trade halts. Number 4. Weaponized technology and cyber warfare. A war invisible to the eye, but deadly in effect. World War III wouldn't just be fought with tanks and missiles. Technology would become a weapon of mass disruption. Satellites, computers, and communication networks could be hacked, causing catastrophic failures. Air traffic control systems hacked, planes crash, power grids shut down, cities are plunged into darkness, military secrets leaked, entire operations fail, causing death and destruction. Even the early stages of cyber warfare could cripple nations without a single conventional bomb. The invisible front of technology would redefine warfare. Imagine battles fought in secret across lines of code with results that could kill millions instantly. Number 3, the humanitarian nightmare. This isn't about armies, it's about humans. War on this scale would create a humanitarian catastrophe. Millions of civilians would be caught in the crossfire. Cities destroyed, hospitals obliterated, food and water scarce. Radiation sickness spread silently among survivors. Refugee crises would overwhelm neighboring nations, creating chaos on a continental scale. Entire generations of children could grow up without families, schools, or communities. The trauma of such a war would scar humanity for decades. Even survivors would face unimaginable hardship, diseases, hunger, and social collapse. The world would be plunged into a prolonged nightmare, not just during the war, but for years afterward. Number 2, environmental catastrophe. The planet itself becomes a casualty of war. Nuclear explosions and conventional warfare don't just destroy humans, they devastate the environment. Cities burn, forests are incinerated, rivers poisoned. Fallout contaminates water and soil, while nuclear winter plunges the Earth into prolonged cold, destroying crops and ecosystems. Species extinction would skyrocket. Entire habitats would vanish. Recovery would take centuries if it happens at all. Even if humanity survived, we'd inherit a scarred and inhospitable planet. The Cold War might have been a war of ideologies, but a World War III would have been a war against the planet itself. Number 1, the butterfly effect, civilization rewritten. If history went differently, our world wouldn't exist today. Finally, consider this: if World War III had erupted, the modern world might not exist at all. The internet, smartphones, modern medicine, even global cities gone. Governments, education systems, and culture could collapse completely. And here's the real question that will keep you awake tonight. Are we really any safer today? History has shown us that tensions between nations can explode in the blink of an eye. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and the world could once again teeter on the edge of annihilation. Think about the world you take for granted: the streets, the lights, and the food on your table. None of it was guaranteed. Every era of peace is a fragile bubble, and sometimes reality is closer to chaos than we dare imagine. So I want you to ask yourself this: if the Cold War could have turned into World War III, what could spark the next global catastrophe today? And most importantly, are we ready for it? If you found this journey into alternate history chilling, hit that like button, share this video, and comment below, because your thoughts could spark a discussion that changes the way we see the world forever. And remember, history isn't just in books, it's alive, dangerous, and sometimes terrifyingly closes